Okay, so this one, independent versus dependent. The name said it all, right? Independent means you have two events, one does not affect the other. Dependent means this event will affect the other one. So that's what you want to write down, then do so. Independent when event, my handwriting is much better. When the event don't affect each other. So whatever you do first, the first event, not going to affect the second event. That's what it's saying. So in here, if we looked, a back, we have 5 red marbles, and then we have 8 blues. So A and 5, we put in the back. Then you choose a marble, and then you pick another one without returning the marbles to the back. That means you took out one, you kept it, you don't put it back. So think about the total. You have 5 and 8, so you have 13 to begin with. That's your total. All right? So that's your first total. So once you have the total, right, then what you do is you took out one, and then you don't return it. If you don't return it, what happens to your new total? You took out marbles, you don't put it back. Yes, it's going to be down to 12. So your total change is from 13 down to 12. When the total change, it is the dependent event. Okay, so that's the question you want to ask yourself when you take the test. Is the total change? If it's changed, then it's if it's changed, then it's dependent. If it doesn't change, then it's independent, right? So that's the thing you want to put on your notes. Like I said, for this one, this is where I'm gonna delete everything. So this is where you will have your notes. You can go over here and you can write that down. Independent, dependent. So you can write dependent when the total change. Right? Independent, the total stay the same. The formula we're going to use is probability of A times probability of B. That's the formula we're going to use later. So those are the things you want to write down. Do so. Have it somewhere. Take a picture if you have to. That should help you. All right? So let's look at this one, the second one. Is that you roll a fair 6-sided die twice. So this is a die. If you roll a pair of dice, is the first time affect the second time? Do they have any link? Is the total going to change? Is the second one going to be certain outcome based on the first one? Just think about that for a second. You have a die, you roll a dice. Do they affect each other at all? No, they don't. Yes, that's correct. So if they don't impact each other, then it would be independent because the first doesn't do anything to the second event. All right? So that is good. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and try. Take a few seconds, a minute or so. Do number 3 and 4, circle independent or dependent. Let's say this is your test. It's really similar to your final exam, so go ahead and try this. We check in. So for this one, the probability would be the first event times the second event, whatever that is. Okay? So let's do this together. A bag contains 4 red marbles and 6 blue marbles. You randomly pick a marble, then pick a second marble without returning it. So it's, with our return, you have 4 red and 6 blue. The first marble, so here's the question, was asking the first is red and the second is blue. So you have 2 events, first, second event. You're going to find the total first. So step number 1, think about the total. I have 4 and 6, so I have 10 total, right? So the first one is 10. The first event was red. So that's 4 out of 10 because I have 10 marbles and I have 4 red. Then the other one said the second is blue, but here's the problem. You took 1 marble out and you kept it out. You don't put it back. So now your total have been changed. Now it's down to 9. You don't have 10 marbles in the back anymore. You have only 9 because you took 1 out and you kept it. Now the second event is, what is blue? We have 6 blue, so that's 6. So this is 24 out of 90. For the final exam, I need you to reduce fraction. Or I will give you a decimal, so it's not, the number going to be different. So if I think about this, I can divide by, so if I reduce 24 and 90, that would give me about 4 out of 15. So I can simply divide by 6. Or you can just put in your calculator, it will reduce for you. Or they will give you decimal, but you can convert it. If you have trouble, let me know. So the thing is, here's the trick that I will use. I will look for the total. Then I look at, all right, this is dependent or is this independent? If it's dependent, then the total will be different. If it's independent, the total will stay the same. For example, look at the next one. You flip the coin twice. You have 2 events. So that's mean this one you flip on a coin. That's mean this is independent, right? The same is you have two outcomes, either head or tail. Since this is independent, I know my total going to be the same. So let's look at the question to say flip head and then tail 1 out of 4. That's all I can do. Questions? I'll give you a moment to copy this and ask questions before we move on to the next. The option, I want you to do number 9. Go ahead and do number 9 as your practice. If any of you, as I Miss Win, can you do one more example? Let me know. You can put in the chat and I will do number 8 as an example for you. But as the whole class, the practice I want you to do right now is do number 9. I will give you the answer for number 9. So when you are done, you will kind of check in. So this is in reduce. Okay. So for those who ask for more example, I'm going to do number 8. The rest of you, if you are ready and you good to go, then just go ahead and do number 9, okay? So this one, we know there's 2 events, okay? Yes, I'm doing number 8, says that your sock drawer have 4 white socks and 2 brown. So I have the total of 4 and 2, so that's 6. You randomly pick a sock and put it on your left foot and then pick another sock to put in your right foot. You leave the house with a white socks. So here's the thing, you have white socks and a brown socks on your right foot. So that's the event. White and brown, that's the one we looked at. So in here, if you look at this one, you're gonna ask yourself, is this independent or dependent, right? If you pick out a sock and you put it on your foot, that means you don't put it back. Then the total change. So if the total change, this is dependent event. So if it's dependent, my total is changed. So I have 6 as the first total. If it's dependent, then my total is going to be 1 less. So that's will be 5. Now I'm just go back to the question and look at each event. The white sock, I have 4 white socks. I have, oops, I'm sorry, the total I miscount. I'm so sorry, it's not 6. Thank you for some tell me. I have 4 white socks and 4 black. So that would be 4, 8, 10. The total is 10, I'm sorry. Right? Then the brown, I have 2 brown, 6 out of 90. And that would be 1 out of 15. I can reduce it. So ask yourself, is this independent or dependent? If it's dependent, the total will be changed for the second one, and then you just multiply them together. Okay, so let me see how we do with this. And then ask me a question. How did I get 15? 15 is the total, right? And here I have 7 milk chocolate and 8 chocolate, so that's the total. So I add everything that I had together. That give me total. Same thing with number 9. I add all the type of socks I have together, and I have 10 of them. So in here I have 15 chocolates. Okay. So that is independent and dependent. I think independent and dependent is easier than the one that we're about to look at. So it's up to you. Like I said, final exam is about trying your best on the objective that makes sense to you and make it like get the best score as possible, right? And the one you're not sure, try. But the one that you understand, make sure that you do enough reviews so you know exactly what to do. That way you can bring up. It's all about balance, like all the average out your score. That's what you want. So I think this should not be a problem if you do a practice. Okay, the next one we'll look at mutually exclusive or not. This one is not quite simple, okay? So not the most, but it's more confusing than the other one. So here is, we're gonna set it up because this additional probability, and I label the objective so you know for this problem, you're gonna have this set up. You have 3 things, add and minus for the second one, right? So what we're gonna do is that we will determine a couple of things. Step number 1, we're gonna find the total. Step number 2, we're gonna look at what is event A and what is event B. So number 1, we want to find the total. So how many, let's say a basket contains of 5 apples and 5 peaches. 5 and 5, so my total is 10. This one is nice and easy because the total is going to be the same for all of them. Okay? 4 of the apples and 4 of the peaches are rotten. You randomly pick a piece of fruit. Here's the event. Here's a question you want to pay attention to. It says rotten or apple. These are the 2 events that you want to think. This is event A, and this is event B. Rotten and apple. Those are the 2 events. And then the last one is both rotten and apple. We'll talk about that in 1 second. So here, the first one is say rotten. How many fruits are rotten? This is when you go back to the problem and say 4 of the apples and 4 of the peaches are rotten. So in here, they tell you clearly how many are rotten. So 4 and 4, so we have a rotten fruit. We don't care what. This one is just rotten. That means the fruit is not good, right? So we don't care about that, all right? So it's rotten. It could be peach, it could be apple. We just know that it's rotten. So 4 and 4, we got 8. Then the second event is just apple. How many apples do we have? We have 5 apples. That's why I got the 5. The last one, this is it going to be both apple and rotten. So how many apples that are rotten. And here they tell you 4 of those are apple and they are rotten. So that's how I set it up. Question for me. Okay, then I'm just gonna kind of do the math. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 minus 4 is 9 out of 10. That's how I find the probability for this one. So maybe you want to jot it down on the note or somewhere that would help you. Okay. Questions? Okay, let's do another one. So we know for this problem, this is how I set it up, right? Plus the first 2 events plus and minus when they are together. So step number 1, I need to find the total. So this said the basket have 6 apples and 7 peaches, so that would be 13. 2 of the apples and 2 of the peaches are rotten. You randomly pick a piece of fruit. So here's the event that you want to pay attention to. It's rotten and it's a peach. Because I know the total is 13, so I can just put down 13 right away. The first one is rotten. Let's go back. I say 2 of the apple and 1 of the peaches are rotten. So we have 3 items that are rotten. That's my event A. This is event B, right? Then the second event is the peaches. I have 7 peaches. Then now for this last one is both peach and rotten. So I have 1 is peach and it's also rotten. So 7 plus 3 minus 1, so this is 9 out of 13. 10 minus 1 is 9, 9 out of 13. So again, for this, just n factorial over n minus r factorial. And you just, when you write this, you can just put in your calculator or use, again, this is the page. If you want to use it, typed it in. That will give you the answer. So that should be 336. The first number is always n, the second one is r. I think we did well with this objective. We're not going to spend too much on this unless you want me to. But I think this is very straightforward. So that's the formula you're going to use if you see this, all right? Basic permutation. This is the one, the letters that we looked at. And this one, sometime we forgot. So here is n factorial, n1 factorial, n2. Okay, so remember this. We figure the n, which is we count how many letters we have total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 letters total. For each letter, we're going to count to see how many that we have there. So for the C is 1. For the A, I have 1, 2, 3. For the N, I have 1. And D is also 1. And then we just put them together. The N should be on the top, which is 6 factorial. All of the is on the denominator. And remember, we don't have to write out the 1 because 1 factorial is just 1. So I don't have to do, So I don't have to do those. I can just do 3 factorial. This would give you 120. So again, I think for this one, because I look at the test that you took last time, it's not too bad. So I'll move on because We have about 7 minutes, and I want to go through the other one as well. So I'm not going to ask you to do practice with me, but this is the note, and you can watch the video if you need help, all right? But let me know if I need to go back tomorrow and review this with you, then let me know. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. Just let me know if we needed to. If not, I don't want to spend too much time on something that is easy enough, and I'd rather spend time on the one that you need help. Okay, word problems with permutation. Same thing for the word problem. This is the one that you're going to use. N factorial over n minus r, right? So we need to identify n and r. A team of 18 players. You're going to choose captain and co-captain, so r would be 2. So 18 over 18 minus 2 factorial. So 18 over 16. And then you can put in your calculator, that will give you the answer. Same thing with this one. You have n, we have 40 students. You're going to choose president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So that's all would be 4. So 40 factorial, 40 minus 4 factorial. It sounds like I'm rushing you through this, but I think this is pretty simple and straightforward. And you did well in your test. So unless you want me to kind of slow down and go over and re-explain something, then let me know. But this is what you do for word problems, for permutation. The only problem I saw from last time is that you mixed up the formula between permutation and combination. That's the one problem. Okay. I will turn this in student page so that you can go back, watch the video, and read and take notes again. That will be okay. I'll share the notes at the end of class today. Okay, combination. So this is 6.4b. Combination is when you have this formula. N factorial over n minus r factorial, r factorial. So that's different a little bit. So if you have the formula in front of you, then use it. This is the basic one. So n, this is r. So 25 factorial over 25 minus 22, 22 factorial. I show you how to use decimal. Type it exactly the way you see it. That will spit out the answer for you. I will provide answer key for all of these problems. What I will do, I will share that page. When you do practice on your own, you can check the work and say, okay, I need help, or no, I'm okay. All right? So this is a basic combination, which again, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you have the formula, I think most of you do well. Let's look at word problems for combination. Same idea. N factorial, n minus r, r factorial. Okay? So let's look at this. N and r. A group of 28 people, they will take the elevator. They will in group of 7, so that's r is 7. Decide the permutation, the combination, so it's 28. 28 minus 7 factorial over 7 factorial. Put in the calculator. That will give you a solution. Okay. Question. I'm going to pause for questions. Anything that you